Well, hey everybody, backyard scrapping here. We're getting ready to get started on this refine. As you can see, this is what we're going to be refining. This is some scrap jewelry that was in a bag that he sent. A lot of this looks like it was in a fire. I'm not sure. I've looked for markings on it, and I don't see any markings on any of it. This is looks like bus bar or some other type of contact, but the backing that's on them I'm unfamiliar with, so I've separated those out, and we're going to do those separate. These are tungsten, so we'll do those separately, and then these are just the standard, bigger bus bar or bigger contacts that we're used to doing most of the time, so I'll do those together. The next part of this refine is going to be these Mylars. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm getting everything ready to start this now, so I'm going to actually start cutting these up into strips. This is not actually a keyboard Mylar, it's something else, I'm not sure what. But a lot of questions, some of the main questions I get, really, I mean in emails and comments and everything else is, people wanting to know what they're going to get. What am I going to get out of this stuff, or what am I going to do? And this is a perfect example to show you why I always say in the videos, we don't know what we're going to end up with until the end of the video. A lot of people will say, well, what will I get out of the Mylars? All right, I counted them out. I believe there was 114 Mylars plus a couple other little things like this, or little pieces. But I just want to show you something. You see this Mylar? Okay. All right, there's one. Here's another one. This one I think is a little bit older. It feels heavier duty. But look at the difference in these. Okay. And the difference, say, let's just go from this one to this one. I mean, almost every one of these Mylars is completely different. All right, this has very little on it. The lining is very thin. This is very defined, seems heavy, but I don't know by coloration exactly what it is. This one again seems like this one, but it's a little bit different. This one appears to have stuff on both sides. This appears to have stuff on one side. Then you have this one that has very heavy. It's a very heavy Mylar, and it's got very heavy markings on it. And you go back again to this one that's got thinner markings, but it's got a whole bunch of them. It's next to impossible to say with any accuracy at all. The only thing you can do is take, like I said, we've got 114 of them. I'm going to roll them up and weigh them and just see what it comes out at, in weight for the 114. We're going to have a little extra because we got 2 or 3 pieces like this, but there's not a whole lot on those. But it is a valid question. I mean, I understand that people want to know what they're going to get, or have an idea, but the only thing you can get is a basic idea. I mean, off of any of this. I don't know until I do this how much of this is solder, if there's lead content, the actual weight of the tungsten in these, which is going to be a waste product. You just don't know. These I'm not familiar with at all. I mean, I know they're a type of contact, but I've never seen as many as I've done, a bunch to come out like this. Now, I don't know, it could have just been a heat issue. These could be the same as these, but I don't know. And again, here we have a bunch of scrap jewelry that is not marked. It gives the appearance of being silver, but we're not going to know till we do it. I just kind of wanted to bring that up real quick, and just show you these different Mylars to, just to show that, I mean, it's next to impossible for me to say what these are going to yield. Can I do an educated guess, or can you guess, if I got 1,000 of them, how much am I? You can get a ballpark idea. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and cut these up. I'm just going to cut them in strips. It's going to take me a while to do it, but because there's only 114 of them, I'm not going to do a big vat, dipping vat, like this, of nitric acid. I'm going to do a little beaker of it where I can just stick these in, turn them around, stick them in if I have to, and be done. But I'm going to cut it in strips. Like I said, it's going to take me longer to do it that way, but I'm not going to be wasting acid either or using overabundance of acid. So I'm going to start doing that, getting these all cut up and getting them ready to go, and we'll be back at you in a bit. Okay guys, just popping back in real quick. Looks like we have about 1 pound, 11 3/8 ounces. I'm going to go ahead and lay these up here, see if they change it very much. So I'm looking at 1 pound, 11 3/4 ounces of Mylars. We're just going to use that as a base reference, just to see how much silver we get out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, like I said, cutting these up, and we'll get back at you when we got something else to show you. Okay guys, we have started cutting up our Mylars. Now this is I know I'm going to get probably some poo-poos on this, because this is not necessary, and it takes a long time, you know, to get all this stuff prepped to do this, but there's a reason I'm doing it. I'm going to use this jar for my nitric acid. I want to use as little nitric acid as I can. I want to be as efficient as I can. I'm not going to waste, you know, the extra nitric acid to take and put these in a big baking dish, have enough nitric acid in the baking dish to, you know, to bathe them through like this, and then I have all that wasted nitric acid. And the more I can save on my materials, the more metal I end up with, because that's my expense. When you send something to be refined, or for me to do, all the expenses come out of my end. You know, I mean, I generally, you know, I do smaller stuff, so I generally charge 25%, but out of that 25%, I maybe get, you know, 10, maybe 12% if I'm lucky, plus all the time that goes into it. So yeah, I want to save as much on materials as I possibly can. So I'm not going to bore you by talking and keep running my mouth. I'm going to continue to do this till it's done, and we'll get back at you. Okay guys, we have gotten to the end of our little adventure cutting these boogers up, and I know I can hear it. Oh, what a waste of time, and what a waste, you know, that just do them whole and do them whatever. Now I'm going to explain something to you about that. So there's all our Mylars, and like I said earlier, I'm going to do them in this jar to limit my nitric acid use. Okay, yeah. Did it take a while to do this? Yeah. Do I have scissor thumb? Yeah. But you got to remember one thing, all right? As small refiners, all right, me, you, whoever's doing it, okay? Number one, we already got to realize, and we already know, this is a hobby. I'm not going to get paid for my time, okay? My payment for this is going to be a little bit of metal. So, the fact that I'm not getting paid for my time, what do I need to maximize on? I need to maximize on using as little materials as I can. In other words, keeping my costs as low as possible to recover this. Now, yes, I said earlier I could have done, got a baking dish, and I could have done the whole thing and bathed the whole thing. Would have been easier. My thumb wouldn't be red. I wouldn't have had to sit here for 45 minutes and cut all these guys up so that they'll fit in this jar. But at the same time, I'm only going to be able to use that nitric acid one time. Whatever's left over in there is going to have to be neutralized and disposed of. So, to maximize my amount of metal for my money invested, I want to use as little materials as possible. Which means taking the time to cut these up. It's going to take a long time to do this. But one other thing, you saw that little tray. I have a lot more other stuff to process. Alright? Anybody who's watched my videos or anybody who does this knows that when you're processing that other stuff, when I put those contacts in and they start dissolving, all I'm doing is sitting there watching grass grow. I mean, that's basically all that's going to happen. I'm either going to sit out there and twiddle my thumbs, or I got to find something else to do. You shouldn't. You can just leave it unattended, but you shouldn't leave any of this unattended. So, instead of sitting out there twiddling my thumbs now, watching the grass grow while this metal dissolves, the other metals that I have to do, I can be working on this. So periodically I can take a break from this, go and check my stuff out, then come back to just dunking these in here and using as little nitric acid as possible, which is what I want to do. That's why I'm doing it this way. You got to come at this from the object of it's a hobby. Alright, the only way to really make money scrapping, small scrapping like we do, is to go large scale where you can afford. Now, see, same thing. This whole process, all I've done is I have adapted the way I'm going to do this because it's such a small amount. There's not even 2 pounds here. It was, I think, 1 pound and 11 3/4 ounces. If I use the methods that are used to recover the same, for 20 pounds, well, I've wasted all that acid and all that material. So all I'm doing is adapting my recovery method to suit the amount that I'm recovering. If this would have been 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds of these Mylars, several thousand of them, yep, we'd have done the bath thing. I'd have done it just like that. But it's not. It's only, not even a pound, just barely shy of 1 pound and 3/4. It's not worth it for me to waste that money on acid to do this the easy way. So to maximize my yield, I got to do a little extra work. Alrighty guys, we are going to get this stuff outside. And like I said, while I'm getting that other stuff set up to dissolve, once all that stuff's starting to dissolve, I can just sit here and do these. So we will see you when we get outside. Okay guys, before we run outside, I was just going to drop this stuff in acid, but I really don't want to waste the acid if we don't need it. And I took a closer look at it, and I know, like, for sure, this one is just plated. There's no markings on it. So I'm going to acid test these right quick, just with my little test kit, and see if they're worth messing with or not, because none of them have any marks on them. So, I mean, they don't even have marks that they're plated. So anyhow, let me go ahead and do that right quick, and then we're going to get outside and get to work on this other stuff. Okay, guys, I didn't have the camera standing here. I would have showed you me testing this stuff. But basically, you can see on the stone, none of it held up to even the lowest acid. So this is just all plated stuff. So I'm just going to bag it back up, and we'll return that to him if he wants it back. But you can see the low karat gold acid, even ate it up. So I am going to get us outside, and we're going to get started on our other stuff now. Okay guys, we are ready to get going on this. As you can see, I've got my contacts out here, and they've been weighed up, and I have my proper amounts of distilled water in the glass beakers in front of them, and behind them I have the amount of nitric acid I'm going to use, which I'm going to start with about 1.5 mils of water and 1.5 mils of nitric acid per gram of material. We may need a little more, we may need a little less. You never know. That's just it. You don't know until you do it. I don't know what these are alloyed with. You know, naturally the tungsten are going to take a little bit less because the majority of that weight is tungsten. Okay, over here I have our Mylars, which we had 1 and 11 3/4 ounces. What I'm basically going to do here is I'm going to take this jar and I'm going to, you know, about half fill it with nitric and then the other equal amount of distilled water. And while all this stuff over here is working, we will be taking these and just dipping them, you know, dipping them down in the jar as such, like that, and taking the silver off of them. I will set up a rinse beaker, you know, next to it here, or a rinse jar where we will also rinse these, because there's still going to be silver on them after we take them out of that solution. And then we'll have another place to put our scraps. So I just wanted to show you, we're getting ready to get started. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add these to each one and start adding nitric acid. Probably move them in a little bit because it looks like it's getting ready to start raining, and I don't want the rain to get in here on them. So I'll probably move them in just a little bit further, and we're going to get to work on this. So we'll be back at you when we got something to show you. Okay guys, as you can see, we have added our first dose of nitric to each one of these, and I'm going to keep it slow and easy. I'm not going to add all this at once. You know, periodically as it slows down, I'll add more acid. You can see in the two on the left, we're already getting some knocks and some color, which is an indication of more copper or other materials. The bigger ones, as always, are starting off pretty clear, but we're getting a nice, smooth, calm reaction. So periodically out of each of our allotted amounts of acid for this, I will just add it as it slows down. And in the meantime, I'm going to be over here getting set up to work on the Mylars, because this is going to take a while. So I'm not going to be sitting out here watching grass grow. I'll be doing some other work. So I'm actually going to let this go for quite a while. I may pop back in and show you when I get the Mylar stuff set up, and briefly do a few of those so you can see how we do them. And so we'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, just popping back in to show you what's going on. It's been probably an hour, hour and a half. I had some outside chores to do here, so I've been just sticking my head around here periodically and adding a little acid and checking it out, but we're doing good. Our reaction is just the way I want it, nice and slow and even. I haven't got started on the Mylars yet. I may not get to them today because I actually have company coming this weekend. So I may actually have to do the Mylars when I'm doing the drop on this. There's not a lot that's going to happen right now. I mean, you guys have all seen this stuff dissolve before. I still have, you know, my little bits of acid to add to it. I don't know exactly where we're at on time on this video, but I am probably just going to go ahead and call it. And then in our next video, we'll be setting up to do the Mylars and probably to do these drops. And I am going to drop these all separately. If you notice, there's quite a different color with the tungsten, and on occasion you get that black fluff from it, and you actually have to just let it go like that and redissolve it all with nitric. Or, I haven't tried it yet, if I get the black fluff in the test, I may actually just take this one and try and do a chloride drop on it, if we have that problem. Now lately, you know, I haven't had that problem even with the tungsten, but sometimes with the tungsten you get that, and I don't know why. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and call this video. Next video we will be, you know, doing, probably filtering this stuff off, some time consuming stuff, so we'll start our Mylars then. So as always guys, we will see you all in the next video.
I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.